All right, and with Anne Mowery, again, 2023 Hall of Fame inductee, we were talking off camera about some stunning things. I brought up the fact that she would take her classes to NASA, and I've had the opportunity to be there. That a lot of people don't believe here in Cleveland. It's the second deepest hole in the earth in the world, I think, over at the NASA. And they test velocity, speed. What else are they testing when they?
There's a lot of, they do combustion studies, fluid studies, and magnetic studies in the drop tower.
Right, so they're simulating the impact of space,
The impact of microgravity on basic phenomena.
Yeah. That hole is deep enough, they told us, that you could take the terminal tower and tilt it and put it upside down in there. That's
Pretty
just
much,
amazing.
yes, it's pretty close to it.
And there's lights all the way down, so you
There
can
is. It's a
see.
huge shaft. You look down, it's like, wow.
So you would take students sometimes over there to see what they were doing and understand what they were doing?
Yeah, we had we had private tours of the drop tower for 2 years back in, I think it was 01 and 02, and we had microgravity research projects over there where the students went over there for a week to work in the drop tower. And so they built their own rig. I think the first experiment was magnetic effects with ferrofluids, which are these iron-based fluids. And then the Stephen DePaul's class he graduated in 03, but he was on the 02 dime team. His was a meniscus change in the microgravity environment. So the kids built their experiment. They took it to NASA. The engineers proofed it for safety, and then they mounted it in a drop rig. And then this drop rig was hoisted up, and then it was just dropped. And it landed in a parachute way down in that hole.
Amazing.
Or some type of inflatable.
And they could measure all the way down, right?
There was data taken. There were photographs taken all the way down.
Yep.
And then from those photographs, they would pick discrete points for analysis.
Amazing.
And not only that for the rig, to get the velocity of the rig, but there were cameras inside their apparatus that would watch how the meniscus would change or how the magnetic fluids, the ferrofluids, would change in a magnetic system in the microgravity environment.
So what, like Dick Scott sat here and he talked about creative PE classes and taking kids. He said he should have gotten fired for doing a water skiing thing. But, here's another example. NASA is right here. And you took advantage of taking these students over there. What, you think around America, there's very few kids. First of all, nobody could do that because that's the only place that has a hole that deep in the world, right? That's an amazing experience.
Well, I think what brought me to that for the students was what I did at Worcester and what I did at Purdue, which was research. And when I had those beginning research experiences as a young scientist and as a college and graduate student, I had that foundation. Timothy Wagner also had that foundation.
He did.
He had research experience. I believe he went to Dartmouth for his undergraduate and Purdue for graduate school. And so we both had research, and we knew that if we could get students to learn the fundamentals, they could do more creative lessons.
Well, that's interesting because you've mentioned your background, and you didn't have a teaching degree that wasn't what you pursued. You were really early in a science that is all over TV. All you have to do is watch ESPN for an afternoon. So tell us about that.
Okay, so after Worcester, where I graduated, actually I was the first woman at Worcester to graduate with a degree in chemical physics. Only the second major. It was an interdisciplinary major, so I had a lot of math, chemistry, and physics. So I went to Purdue, and I thought I was going to do basic research, but I was a more applied person, and I love golf, and I'm thinking, can I do something with sports and physics? And sure enough, I had a couple people at the campus that support me on that. I coach golf. I didn't quite play collegiate golf, but I coached golf, and then I did my master's thesis on the physics of the golf swing.
And
it was a biomechanical study, which was on old 16 millimeter film. And I'm picking out body points and looking at all these different types of kinematic and dynamic physics ideas, and it was ahead of its time. Yes.
Well, this was early 80s. And if you think about ESPN was just maybe emerging as a little thing then, and now you watch, and if you watch some of their shows, they've got all the diodes, they've got all the things on the athlete, and they're watching every movement, and they're seeing that. You were really early in all that
I was
stuff.
very early. In fact, there was a part of me before I came to Bay thinking I knew I was onto something really that could be taken really far. But I don't know, I was destined to come to Bay.
No, it's great, and thank God that you did.
Thank
It's there's many kids, and a lot of fellow teachers and a lot of alumni who are very appreciative of the fact that you did.